It's really more so about the person we become in the process of going towards it over actually getting the thing, because once we get the thing, then that's just going to become our new norm.
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where I am looking into the camera right now and I can see that there is yogurt all over it because I made a cooking video the other day and it fell right down in the yogurt. Whenever I am cooking, if you've ever seen any of my YouTube cooking videos, you know that I am an absolute mess and I should really clean this camera and take better care of it because it is not a cheap one. But that is not what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're going to be talking about the fact that I just realized that there's 40 days left of this year. And I think that a lot can happen in 40 days. Getting what you want, eliminating procrastination, eliminating limiting beliefs, and using different habits and techniques to get what you want is something I've talked about a lot on this podcast. And the things I'm going to be sharing today, I have mentioned before, but today we're going to get super clear on what that is and give you very clear strategies, tactics that you can use for the final 40 days of this year to actually make massive progress. And the reason I want to talk with you about this today is because I feel like I'm seeing this everywhere. I have experienced it within my own body for so many years of my life and slowly progressing and getting better in catching myself whenever I am procrastinating on something or making excuses or not giving it my absolute all. And so in today's video, that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to be going through these really quickly because I'm right now, if you listen to my last week's podcast episode, you know that I'm right now in the middle of making 30 videos in 30 days. And I'm right now in the middle of editing and realized that, oh my gosh, it's Tuesday tomorrow and I should upload a podcast episode because I'm really trying my best to still do my podcast episodes, even though I have a lot of other things going on. Because if I'm someone who preaches that you can do it all, it's just about putting different habits into place, then I should be doing my absolute best to be doing the same thing. The first step, obviously, is getting very clear on what it is that you want in your life. But I feel like I've talked so much about that on this podcast episode. So I'm just going to assume that we all know what it is that we deep down want in our life. The first little technique that I want to share with you that I'm sure you've heard of before is that if you think of something that you got to get off of the to-do list and it takes less than 2 minutes to do, you have to do it right away. You cannot procrastinate it because the more things we procrastinate, the more messiness we get inside of our minds. And if we just do it right away, if it takes less than 2 minutes, like literally just if you get the thought, do it right away. If you know it's going to take less than 2 minutes, then there's one less thing to be wandering around in your brain, which means that then you can be more focused on the tasks that actually are important for the day because you've already cleared all those little fluffy quick to-dos that also need to be done for the day. The second thing that I see so often is that we are all waiting to get into action, to get started on the thing that we deep down want, the thing that we deep down need to be doing to actually move the needle in the direction that we want in our life. We want everything to be perfect. We want things to be right and in order, and we want for us to have learned the perfect skills and have read all the books and done all the studies and done all the pre-work before we actually get started on the thing. But I just think that we learn so much more when we just dig in. We go straight to the uncomfortable, the challenge, the uncertain. If we just dive in, we're going to learn so much on that journey. Of course, we do not want to put ourselves in danger. We don't want to put anyone else in danger. We don't want to put ourselves in a financially unstable place. But I do think that the majority of us can get started way earlier and can find solutions as to how we can get started if we make things easier on ourselves, if we make the process easier on ourselves, if we allow ourselves to be imperfect at first and try to figure it out as we go, navigate the different directions as we go about trying doing things, because it's so easy for us to read all the books, listen to all the videos and podcasts on a topic, but actually diving in, getting started on that side business or whatever it is that you want to do. If you just dive in, you are going to learn so much quicker as you make the mistakes and fail as you go. At least for me, that has always been the case. Whenever I've just dived in, gotten started, as I'm doing right now with these 30 videos, it was something that I was so scared of doing. And I would procrastinate it because it just felt so overwhelming. Once I just got started and took it one day as I went on, I'm learning so much in the process of doing it and making a ton of mistakes. And then I learn from them and that makes me better, right? And that's really the point of us setting these challenging goals or going towards something. It's really more so about the person we become in the process of going towards it so we got to just dive in, actually getting the thing, because once we get the thing, then that's just going to become our new norm. That's how we work as humans. Once we've gotten something new, it's exciting for the first few weeks maybe, and then it becomes our new norm. And then we look at the next mountain that we are going to be excited about climbing and reaching the top of. And then that becomes our new norm. And that's just like how our life evolves, right? So it is about the person that we are becoming on the journey, the fun that we're having on the journey. And the third little thing that I want to share that I've also mentioned previously on my podcast is this thing that whenever something feels overwhelming and we are not taking action, it typically is because we haven't actually gotten super, super clear on the step-by-step process of what it's going to take for us to get there. So if something ever feels overwhelming for me, I will take a piece of paper and write down the step-by-step process of what would it require of me from get to point A to point X. So then I'll write down A, B, C, D, E, like all the steps, because once I've written it down on paper, I can see it from above. It all becomes so much more clear. And then I can really just focus on one little step at a time instead of that overwhelmingly challenging whole picture of what it is that is required of me to get from point A to point Z, Y, X, whatever, however many points there is for you to reach your goal. The fourth thing that I also have mentioned on this podcast previously, but that is just so useful and maybe someone out there needs to hear this right now, is that oftentimes we make something feel so hard in our minds. We tend to want to make it extraordinarily perfect from the beginning, which makes the journey feel very hard. And whenever I want to do something, but then when I look at it, it just feels so hard, I ask myself, what would it look like if it were easy? And you could brainstorm on this idea. What would be the simple ways of doing this? And maybe you have to write down 21 ideas till the great easy way of doing it comes up. But just ask yourself that question, because I just think whenever I have little life coaching sessions with people, it's what they often realize is that they make things, myself included, so hard in our minds when we think of how to get the thing that we deep down want in life. But if we just simplify it, if we just look at it from a different perspective, then we can oftentimes find a way easier solution as to how to get there. And when something feels more easy to get there, then of course it's going to be more likely that we actually start taking action towards it. And that's what we want. It's just about that one step at a time, right? Taking action towards the thing that we want, challenging our norm little by little by little. I have two more before I give a few little affirmations that potentially could be useful for you, that have been very useful for me. And the first thing that I want to say is that whenever we want something in life, it's very important to remember that we do not need to do it like everyone else is doing. It's actually way more beautiful, way more special if we do it in our own way. And so if we can ask ourselves, what is my unique qualities? What do I have that maybe others don't have? Or how can I include my soul into this project, into my way of going about it? For example, when I first started creating content, I would think like I have to be this fitness professional and speak in a certain way to feel like I have the authority for people to want to listen to me. And what I realized down the line as I've been doing this for a few years now is that, you know what? That's not actually me. Yes, sometimes I'll be serious and I'll say things like on this podcast. I'm actually pretty serious a lot of the time. But when I give like fitness advice, the way that I like to do it is be a little bit silly about it. Have fun with it, and um, be cringy a lot of the time. And in the beginning, I would like not want to show that side of myself because I would think like, oh my God, who's gonna have respect for me if I'm like that? But then I realized like that is who I am. And I first of all just I want to be myself, but what I also realized that when I started to allow myself to be myself and be a little cringy, be a little silly, be a little whatever it is that I feel like on any given day, right? We have so many different aspects of our personality. And what I realized when I started to allow myself to be myself, not only did I have, oh my gosh, everything became so much easier, but also I had more fun with it, but also my content started to resonate more with people. People started to, I guess, enjoy it more. Um, and then I've gone through different phases where sometimes like I'll think I need to be a certain way, and then once I've realized, oh my gosh, this isn't me, then I've started changing it again, and then this wave of positive responses have come to me. So just remember that whenever you want to do something, don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to show your uniqueness in whatever way that is for you. Maybe for me, it's being cringy and silly or funny or whatever it is that I am. But for you, it could be something completely different. And you do not need to be like anyone else because no one can be you better than you. And that is the best, most beautiful gift you can give to the world. It just is. The last little piece of advice that I recently was revisiting is this idea of decision fatigue. Like every day we make so many different decisions. Like when we get up in the morning, do I shower first or do I stretch first? Do I make coffee first or do I eat a little snack first? Should I do this in between my meditation and my journaling? Like there's so many different decisions we have to make all the time. But if we're very clear on what it is that we want and we know what we want our goal to be, we know how we want to feel, we know like our end goal, then we can also ask ourselves, what would I want my daily routine to look like? And then instead of every morning when we wake up, it's something different. Like, do I look at my phone when I wake up or do I not look at my phone when I wake up? We can make the decision that, okay, when I get up, then I do this first. And then second, I do this. I do not have a snack before my meditation. And then I journal after my meditation, whatever it is for you. And then I eat my breakfast and then I have my coffee or whatever it is. If you've made the decision as to what your daily routine structure should be, like maybe you know what you're wearing on Wednesdays, or maybe you take out your clothes like before you go to bed. I don't know what it looks like for you. The things that you on a daily basis make decisions on. If you have already pre-made those decisions so that it turns into habits and you do not use your brain power to make up these daily decisions, then every day you're going to suddenly have so much more space for creativity, for your mind to wander. Because of your already structured daily routine, the space that will suddenly become available in your brain for other new thoughts that potentially could turn into ideas that could be life-changing for you, that could just be very cool. I find this in my own life. Like whenever I've been traveling and going all these different places where there's so many different things that I have to make decisions on, my creative brain does not work as well. It just doesn't function in the same way as when I'm very structured, routinely getting the same things done every day. I've heard that most of the most impactful people in the world that have come up with the most incredible inventions, they had very structured routines every day, because then they would have this brain availability for the creative processes to explode in a whole other way. And I'm just thinking that if we somehow could, for the last 40 days of the year, that free space in our brain could turn into some really incredible things that could lead us to where we want to be by December 31st of this year. And when we've already started a great feeling momentum, then we are just going to keep that going for all of 2024 with its ups and downs, of course. I want to end off this podcast episode with 2 little affirmations that potentially could be useful for you. And I've shared it a lot on my Instagram story just because I feel like it's so powerful. And the first one is telling myself, I am the kind of person that only thinks and believes that which moves me towards my goal. This is Tom Bilyeu that I've heard it from. And I just think it's so powerful. I am the kind of person that only thinks and believes that which moves me towards my goal. So that means whenever I start feeling these limiting beliefs kick in, or if whenever I start thinking like, oh, I couldn't do that because that's not for someone like me, or whatever it is, or, oh, I don't have to work out today, or whatever excuses that maybe will pop up in my mind, subconscious beliefs, then I can remind myself, no, I only think and believe that which moves me closer to my goal. And it's just, I love it. So maybe it's something that you want to bring with you for the final 40 days of this year. And the second one that I always find is so valuable is saying to myself, I'm the kind of person that keeps the promises that I make to myself. So when you have told yourself, I'm going to, work out today, and then in 5 p.m. hits the clock and it's after work, it's getting dark because it's winter and you're like, I don't really need to. You remind yourself, nope, I am the kind of person that keeps the promises that I make to myself. And it just builds this momentum, this good spiral that when we keep one promise to ourselves, when we keep one promise that we've made to ourselves, then we're going to want to keep another and another and another. And that's how our self-belief, our confidence, and our respect for ourselves is built. And we need a lot of that if we are trying to achieve a goal, move towards something that we've never tried before in our life. If we want something better that we haven't had before, we really do need to work on building that self-belief and the self-respect and the self-love and keeping the promises that we make to ourselves. Or at least I think so. If you found anything useful that I shared in this podcast episode, it would mean the world to me if you would write a review or share it with a friend. And I just hope that you today really think about how you want to spend the final 40 days of your year, because a lot can happen. And it's all about just committing and using like little habits and techniques that can help us make it easier, make it more fun, make it enjoyable. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm.